with Ashley Olive.
What one do you want to shoot?
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
Okay, so me and Erin really wanted to talk about social media today because obviously a lot of us in this room work our businesses through social media. And I know, especially when you're newer, which there's a lot of new people in here, it can be kind of like confusing as to how to work social media, especially Instagram, in my opinion. When I started, I've always posted on Instagram and like shared it to Facebook, but I've never really messaged on Instagram, probably until we had like our first Instagram training not that long ago.
Mm-hmm.
I would message here and there, but I really didn't get very much response from it. And so it just was not working for me. And so when we had that Instagram training, that's kind of taken off for me now. So I'm super glad that she's going to go over stuff. So I've kind of switched how I work Facebook now, in comparison to how I work Instagram. So how many of y'all in here what are you comfortable with? Are y'all more comfortable with Facebook or Instagram?
Instagram. Facebook,
Facebook
for me.
Okay. Yeah, when I joined, I was way more comfortable with Facebook. I feel like Instagram is very up and coming, and you can reach out to a lot more people, and there's a higher chance of you reaching out to somebody who no one that's a networks distributor has ever talked to than Facebook. I'm pretty sure all of us know that. But Instagram is just becoming a good thing. So with Facebook, it's been around a lot longer, I think. And
There's about like 4 or 5 times more people on Facebook, and like they say every minute like 460 new accounts are opened on Facebook. Just a fun fact. You can go to John Eric's page, and he actually posted all the actual statistics.
Yeah. So what I want to start by talking about with Facebook is I feel like a lot of people, when you're messaging people, I got a lot of response from Facebook in the beginning. I still do, but that's pretty much how I've built a lot of my business is through Facebook, because that's what I'm comfortable with. To me, it's very organized, and it's very easy to message, keep track of your messages, look at people's profiles, because it is pictures, but it's also words. I like to read statuses. Not everybody's like that. Some people just like to see a picture and see 2 words and you get a feel for it. I'm a very wordy person, so I try not to make long posts because I know that some people will read the first 2 sentences and then just keep scrolling. But I like to show my feelings not only through pictures but through words. So with Facebook, first thing that I wanted to talk about is, which we're both going to kind of go over similar things. As far as how to do certain things on each one. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is how to add people. I did this very, very wrong when I first started because I did not know what I was doing. You know how to add people. You click a button and you send a friend request and they accept you or they decline you. Same thing with Instagram. But the only thing that I dislike about Facebook is that when you try to add people, you don't want to add the people you may know or suggested friends or anything like that, because if you do, here's the only thing that can go wrong with that. Most of the time when Facebook suggests friends to you, it's because you and that person have a lot of mutual friends in common, right? Or maybe you don't have any at all and they just throw you a random person and they look like a creep, or you don't know who they are, or it's a fake profile. I mean, you just never know. But one thing that I don't like about it is when it suggests people, if you have a lot of friends in common, typically with our profession, if you click on their profile, majority of the time, it's going to be an networks distributor, or it's going to be somebody that's not, but you have so many friends in common that, okay, let me explain this because I'm going to like get off topic. So how I explained it to them earlier, because I was talking to them about it. If you, like, let's say I add Megan on Facebook today, right? And then she starts watching my posts and I maybe start interacting with her. And then Angelica comes across my people you may know because they are both mutual friends of mine, right? So they're connected in some way, but I'm not connected to her. Does that make sense? Are y'all following me? Okay. So if I add Angelica and then she starts watching me, And she starts interacting with me back and forth, right? And then Megan all of a sudden reaches out to me, or I cold message her because I like her personality, or I just think that she's really great at this business. And I reach out to her, and we start talking, and she becomes a potential, right? And then she decides she wants to sign up. So now she's a distributor. The only problem is that if you are mutual friends, and this is just how I see it, not everybody sees it this way, but if they're mutual friends, and then Angelica decides to join, but she's friends with Megan, she's already been watching me. So you're kind of taking their market away from them. Does that make sense? I used to do this when I first started, and I didn't realize what I was doing because I was so new and I didn't really understand how that worked. And it seems really like common sense now that I've pointed it out, but I didn't understand that. And so it's smarter to go to pages or look up places, famous people, boutiques, whatever you want to look up pages on Facebook to add people that you don't know, that you're not connected to. And I know that can be scary too, because I did not want to do that when I first started, because I was like scared to find a creep or a weirdo, or I know a lot of people that have children are more skeptical to add people that they don't know because they share their personal life through social media, which is what we're taught to do in this business. So I know that can kind of be scary. I don't really know what clicked for me, but I kind of got over that fear, and I wanted to tell everybody about this business, and so I just started adding anybody I didn't know. Some people we have mutual friends in common with, because you do want that, but you just have to be careful about how you're adding people. Okay.
I think if you go to pages where you're doing it, where out of the goodness of your heart, you know that you're not adding other people's potentials. Yeah. So I think doing it by adding on pages or opening your market that way, I think then it's like Scout's honor. That's the only way that I built my business, and nothing.
It wasn't
can
like you went to another distributor's
Yes.
page and went add.
Yes.
Exactly.
So that's how I would suggest adding people.
And that can happen. Just take my word for it.
I know.
Okay.
And also when you're adding people, you can see mutual friends. So
Yes.
I always make sure it's not
Exactly.
because I don't have everyone, but some people
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
I know that with me and Megan and even me and Lindsay, now that we're friends on Facebook, when I'm going through adding people, I can see that the three of us have lots of
Yes.
mutual friends. But that was we weren't friends on Facebook before we made the friends. But now I'm like, oh, okay.
If I see one of you guys, then I won't add them. But guys,
Yeah.
Well, that's the great thing about Facebook is you can see who you're mutual friends with.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you see somebody that's a network distributor that's on your team, like anybody in this room, you would know, okay, I need to stay away from that. It's probably their potential. But they may be friends with a network distributor that you don't know. That may not be on our team. So you don't know, you know what I mean?
When you mass add too,
Exactly.
you don't look at who you're adding.
So that's the one thing I do like about Facebook, so that you know that you're not connecting. Because Instagram, you have no idea. Me and Eric could be friends with the same person, and we have no idea.
Happened to Erin.
And you will come across that, because the other
She
day,
commented on somebody that I messaged.
yes,
and I was
the other
like,
day
oh, crap.
I was at Megan's, and I forget what the girl's name was, but I was scrolling through my newsfeed and I was liking pictures, and I went to this girl's page.
Oh, because I want that Texas basket.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I was
Yeah,
like,
she
I
has a-
messaged her.
She has a
But
taste of Texas, and you can only get stuff. It's just like Birchbox. This is totally besides the point. It's really cool. But it's like Birchbox or like Ipsy, the bags.
Yeah.
But they do one for just Texas. So every month it's like a monthly subscription. They send you stuff from just Texas, like a certain town. This girl on Instagram I found.
Yeah.
I just want that back. That's all I want. I want that.
What is it? What is it called?
Her name's like Texas girl.
No, I
or
messaged
something.
her to get it. It's like through like what is that, Canton? When you go to Canton.
Yeah.
No, I know,
First Round.
but there.
First
Yeah,
Round.
she gave me her it's called yeah. But the lady that I guess runs it, she puts these baskets together, and they give you every month. They send you. Yeah. So that's totally besides the point. That's what I wanted. It was a dang basket.
Texas Market.
Yeah, my Texas Market. But they have an email, and so then every month they'll send you like goodies just like that, like from a different spot in Texas.
Oh, that's cool.
Pretty sweet. Yeah.
Okay, well, so what happened was.
So now everybody's getting baskets.
I was looking at
And
this
now look
girl's
what we just
profile.
did for
I
her.
know, right?
Yeah, and I actually didn't know that. I was looking through her pictures, and I was like liking, interacting with her, and I came across one of her pictures and I went to comment on it, and I immediately saw a comment that Aaron had commented on it, and I was like, oh crap. I was like, I can't message her. So I stopped following her, because then I showed Megan, I was like, oh crap, I think I just followed somebody that Aaron's following. And Megan was like, oh wait, I was following her too. And I was like, oh crap. So sometimes it'll happen. It's very rare, I feel like, on Instagram, because there's so many people you just don't even know. But that's one thing I like about Facebook, is you know when other distributors or people on your team are friends with them, and they may be interacting with them if they're friends with them, more than likely. But on Instagram, you just never know unless that happens and you're like, oh, oops, like, just don't message them, okay? So back to what Natalie was saying. When I add people now that I've gone through Instagram training, when I add people on Facebook, I kind of followed the same technique as when I add people on Instagram. I will go to boutiques or places, or I'll search places on Instagram, like, you know how you can search a location, and like everybody that has ever tagged themselves in that location, you can click on their picture and then you can follow their profile if you like, you know, who they are or whatever. Sometimes I will try to find those profiles on Facebook if I can. That way I've got them on both networks. I've also done that as far as cold messaging. If I try to add somebody on Facebook and I message them, and it, you know how sometimes, like, if you go through your messages and you probably cold message somebody, if you do cold message like 6 months ago and it shows that they never read it, and you're like, oh man, that could be somebody that might be interested because you just love their profile and you've been interacting with them, but they may never see that message because sometimes it goes to their filtered folder. Not everybody knows that exists. I will find them on Instagram and I will follow them that way because she'll talk about how you do all that. But I will try to get them on both networks if you can't get them, and vice versa. Like if you try to message somebody on Instagram or you're interacting with them and you really want to see like what their Facebook is like, you can add them on Facebook. So that's helped me a lot too. But what I was saying, if you go to a page and you're starting to add people, like I'll go to a boutique, for example, and I'll like their page and I'll find a picture that has a lot of likes and I'll click on it. And I'll look at all the people who have liked that picture or commented on that picture that's interacting with that boutique. I'll go to their page and I will start, like most people have private accounts, obviously, on Facebook because you have to friend them, which is one thing that I don't like versus Instagram. But before I add them, I will try to see the first couple posts if it lets me, like if it's not like so locked down that you can see some of their posts. And I'll see if it's somebody that I really want to interact with. And if I do, then I will friend request them. But what I look for after I've looked at their posts is to see if we have any mutual friends. Because I've come across lately, like, you know how sometimes you're scrolling through your Facebook and like an ad will pop up and it'll be for a boutique and it'll be like some shirt or something and it's like our page or whatever. If you click on it, no matter what boutique it is, majority of the time, it will show you at the top how many of your mutual friends have also liked that page before you have. So it may show you, like, it'll say Megan and Angelica liked this and 270 others and 5 others. It just depends on how many of your friends have liked that page. But that doesn't mean that they're interacting with the people on that page, right? So I won't obviously scroll through to see how many of my friends are following that page. But when I'm liking and trying to add people, I will look to see if we have mutual friends. Because if I come across somebody and I'm like, oh, she looks awesome, like I want to interact with her, and I click on her profile and she's friends with anybody in this room or anybody you know that's in this business, I will not add them because you don't want to interact with somebody that may be interacting with someone else, right? So that's one thing, is checking mutual friends on Facebook. That's one thing that has helped me a lot that Instagram you can't really do. Next thing, liking and commenting on, like, interacting with people and building your relationships with people. When I first started, I hated Instagram. I love Facebook. But now that I know more about both, I have found that it is very difficult at times to interact with people on Facebook. Do y'all agree with me? Because majority of the time when I go to somebody's page that may come across my newsfeed and they make a post that day, I'll go to their profile and then it may show that one post that I just saw. But then when I'm scrolling, it'll be like, oh, they shared this video. Oh, they shared this video. They shared this ad. And it's like not their life. It's just stuff that they're sharing. So it makes it kind of hard to interact with people and get them to know who you are for that reason. Does that make sense? Do y'all come across that too?
Yeah.
I've noticed that a lot lately. So that's one thing that I don't like, and y'all probably relate to that. But so it can be a little bit more difficult now that I know how to work Instagram, which y'all are gonna relearn today. You have to, I mean, I'll still go to their pictures, and even if the picture was like 3 months ago or a year ago, I'll still like it because that's all I have to go off of. You know what I mean? So if they're not really posting, if they're sharing a lot of videos, which a lot of people do on Facebook now, it's kind of becoming something that not a lot of people post their life like we do. A lot of people are transitioning, I feel like. But I will say a lot of people that I have talked to that have never heard of It Works on Instagram don't know that you can message on Instagram. Because if I try to add them on Instagram, I'm like, oh my God, I have to talk to this person. Like, I just have to. And they won't read my message. I'll go add them on Facebook, and immediately they message me back almost 99% of the time because they don't know that you can message on Instagram. So some people don't know about Instagram, but some people don't work Facebook anymore. So it's kind of like you really have to find out what works better for you, because I remember when we went through that Instagram training, I tried so many things that people were trying to teach us, and it was not working for me. And I was like, Erin, I have to keep working Facebook because this is not working for me. I don't understand it. It's confusing. I just don't get it. And one day it just kind of clicked, and now honestly, I work Instagram a whole lot more than I work Facebook. I rarely cold message on Facebook anymore. I'll still add to my market every day. I'll add friends. I give myself a number every day. And I'll still interact with people like through my news feed, but I don't typically cold message anymore. I do from time to time, but that's just my personal business. It's kind of changed for me. So you really have to find what works for you, because just because Instagram is working for somebody else doesn't mean that Facebook's not going to work for you if that's what you're comfortable with. If that's what you're comfortable with and that's where you feel like your strong point is, that's what you have to do. So as far as like building that relationship on Facebook, you really have to find different ways to interact with people as far as liking their pictures and their posts and stuff like that, because you really don't want to cold message somebody without interacting with them first. And you'll learn that as you go in this business. It's really important to build that relationship with people so that they trust you. And that's a big thing about this business, you guys, is the friendships that you make and those relationships that you make. I had a girl who was supposed to be here today. She couldn't be here because they just bought a house. So I'm super excited for her. But I've been talking to her since September, and she works in Katy. Actually, she worked, do y'all know where Lawson Terra is? I worked at Emmanuel Salon right by World of Beer, and she worked at Perry's, like literally not even 20 feet away from me, and I had no idea who she was. And I reached out to her on Facebook, and I built that relationship with her, and then I got her phone number, and we started talking, and I followed up with her since September, and she just signed like a week ago. So it's really important to build those relationships. And even if you're following up with people, and you might be texting them or you might be messaging them, don't always message them about It Works. Like if you see something on their page that they're getting married or they're having a kid or they have an event that weekend or they're going on vacation, whatever it is, message them. Even if they don't reply, and be like, hey girl, how was your vacation? Or how was your wedding? Or your baby's adorable. Whatever it is that they're going through, you want to make sure that you're building that relationship with them, because that's what people are going to connect to. It's not join my business, join my team. You know what I mean? So cold messaging on Facebook. Who has questions about cold messaging on Facebook? Anybody?
I would probably say a lot of the newer people, what do you message them? Like what do you say in your cold message? How do you start your message to that person, like in their initial contact?
I message the exact same way on Instagram as I do on Facebook. I send the exact same message. I never change it because it's so generic. I really, once they reply, that's when I start those personal conversations and start asking it about them. You make it about them. It's not about you. But I don't change it. I've changed it several times since I started, trust me. I mean, because there were times where I would get no responses, and then I would change one sentence and I'd have 10 people respond. So it's like, you have to remember to keep it simple. I mean, not one sentence simple. Some people do that and it works. It doesn't work for me. One thing I've learned is giving them a compliment. Now, if you want to get really personal, you can look at something that's on their profile, like children or their family, or if you think they're beautiful. I mean, whatever compliment you want to give them. Mine typically consists of talking about how I like watching their journey, not in a creepy way. Like, I make sure I word it in a way where they're like, why are you watching me? I try not to make it sound creepy, but it flows in my message. But one thing that has helped me, I swear to God, since I started doing this, was from actual Instagram training. And it was Rachel Jones, and she said that she has 3 scripts: how she sends her cold message, she sends her story, and then she sends like the investment script that we have. And in my cold message, I have incorporated asking, which is so simple. It's something so simple that a lot of people don't do. And it is, can I share my story with you? That's one thing that I leave it with that, but I don't leave it as a question necessarily. Well, I kind of do, but I kind of don't. It's kind of hard to explain, I guess. But I basically ask if I can share my story with them. And I know when I was newer, I was very like, I don't have a story. Like, I don't make money yet, and I haven't tried products. And, like my first week of joining, and I was like, what do I even tell them? And if you feel that way, then you need to come up with something that, tell them who you are, why you joined this business, what it's doing for you, even if it's not financial, because you don't have to talk about money. That's not always why people join. It's, I think some people join, obviously we join for money, but, and an extra income, but a lot of people, I'm pretty sure everybody in this room would say that we were drawn to that lifestyle and that positivity because, it's just like Paul Mitchell, which nobody in here will understand, but you do. That has helped me so much, is sharing my story. So you talk about, if you don't have, if you've only been in this business for a week, then you talk about why you joined, who you are, and what you want this company to do for you. It doesn't always have to be what it's done already, because yes, obviously saying I make this amount of income, or I'm this type of leader, or, I've been in it this long, I've made this bonus, obviously that grabs people's attention, yes. But if you haven't done those things yet, talk about what you want it to do, because people are going to be just as attracted to a positive, energy, because it's contagious. It really is. Nobody likes negativity, most people anyway. So you have to remember to just show who you are and be excited. People are so drawn to excitement, it's stupid. Like, literally, you could go to a rap party or walk in a room and just be like, have y'all watched that video of Megan Tansey talking about blitzing? And she's talking about being excited when you talk to people. And, you walk up to someone and be like, oh my gosh, girl, I have to talk to you about my business. I think you'd be so amazing. And if you do it in an excited way and not, hey, girl, I work for It Works. Here's what's guard by. They're going to be like, what? But if you're excited, they're going to want to know what you're doing just because you're excited about it, because they want to know what you're involved in. You know what I mean? Whether they join you or not, they're going to be attracted to that excitement. So in your message, you have to portray that excitement. Even if you feel like you sound dumb, oh my gosh, I have to tell you about my business. Be excited. That's what people want to hear. You know what I mean? But come up with something that tells your story, because I swear since I have been using that, it has changed everything. Even if it's 5 sentences, it doesn't matter. People want to know who you are before they're going to tell you who they are. So that's one of my biggest things that has helped me, is sharing my story with people. And I think a big part of your story is why you joined. Because if you're a mom and you have kids and you want to be a stay-at-home mom, or maybe you don't want to be a stay-at-home mom, maybe you just want that extra income to do things for your children. If you're talking to a mom who has kids, they're instantly going to connect with you. I don't have kids, but when I talk to hairdressers, I'm like, girl, I have to tell you how this changed my business, not only in hair, but it let me leave my job to focus on my team. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So not everybody's going to join because they want to be, full-time at Works, but, you just have to connect with people and be excited, for sure, is one of the big things. Even in posts. So, okay, so next thing or last thing is how often to post. I post a lot, since I started, because this is just how I do it. I post on Instagram and share it to Facebook. That way I'm connecting on both networks. However, I know that there is a Facebook logarithm, is that how you say it? Algorithm, not logarithm. Algorithm. And like if you share something from Instagram, like the percentage of people seeing that goes way down versus if you just post it on Facebook. Yes. So a lot of people, like if you watch, like one of the people that I watch a lot is Courtney Moore. I love her. She's a full-time college student. I don't know if y'all know who she is, but she's awesome. She posts a lot of stuff on Instagram. I think she literally almost posts like probably 20 times a day. She posts all the time. But you have to realize when she's posting that much, how many times she's popping up in people's news feeds on Instagram. So people are more likely to see her post, even if it's like, oh my gosh, I want these boots. Like it's something that she wants. It's not necessarily like, oh my gosh, here's my selfie, like talking about like joining her team or something like that. It doesn't matter what it is. They're going to see her name so many times that they're going to want to know who she is. You know what I mean? But if you look at her Facebook, which I don't know if a lot of people in here are friends with her on Facebook, but she posts different stuff. She doesn't always share everything from Instagram. And I know a lot of leaders do that, or people in general, but I think that's the reason why. So if you post something directly to Facebook, the higher the percentage of people seeing it. It goes way down when you share it from Instagram, which I know that, but it's so much easier for me to just share it. That's how I do it.
When you share it from Facebook, when you share it from Instagram, doesn't it show on Facebook? Doesn't it say like shared from Instagram? Because that's why I stopped doing it.
Yeah.
I always felt
Yeah.
Okay.
When I used to do that, I would go and I would change my audience to not just my friends, but to public. So I'd go and make my post public so then it doesn't say Instagram anymore. But again, still you're affected by the algorithm. So like for me, I always copy like what I post on Instagram.
Yeah.
If I'll talk about what I post on, like, and how often. But if I do post on Facebook, it's always I copy that and post it onto my Facebook.
Yeah.
Because I just want to make sure that if I'm going to have the highest chance, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So just so y'all know, if y'all didn't know that, if you ever make like a video on Facebook, I always make mine public. My Facebook is locked down. Like it is completely private. Like if you try to go to my page and you're not friends with me, you will see nothing unless it's a video, because I make all my videos public, mostly because I want to see how many people view it, because I want to know how often it's being watched, just because I used to hate making videos and I would watch it 10,000 times, and most of y'all in here know that. But anyway, I make all my videos public, but I don't make my posts public all the time. So I don't know where I was going with that.
mine on Facebook, everything is public.
Your Facebook's public?
Mhm.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't even know you could make Facebook public. Honestly, you can change it.
Because the thing is, if somebody searches It Works and puts Houston or Katy, I'm going to pop up
Well,
on Google. I don't know. But you have to also be comfortable with opening your profile to Facebook. I'm more comfortable, and I'll talk about Instagram and private versus public, but all mine's public.
I didn't even know you could do that. I've had mine private since like I've had a Facebook, mostly because I was like, if we're not friends, like I don't want you to see my stuff.
Yeah.
Now I feel a lot differently, but I used to be like, don't look at my stuff if we're not friends. If you don't know me, you can't be my friend. But it's different now, obviously. But that's just how I've always had mine. Anyways, so I typically share my stuff from Instagram. I don't always sometimes I'll just make a random post on Facebook, which is actually really funny because most of the time I get the most likes on stuff that I don't share, because of the algorithm. I don't know why I keep saying that. Anyways, I cannot talk today. So yeah, I post pretty often. When I first joined, I told Erin, I was like, I looked at my profile before I started, and I was definitely not somebody that she probably would have reached out to, because I literally took pictures of like a wall, and I was like, this is what I'm like hanging out today, or I'm at work and I would take a picture of the floor. Like I didn't take pictures of really anything relevant. I never really posted pictures of myself, so it's super important to show who you are and share your adventure during the day. Like if you're gonna go out to eat with friends or whatever you're doing, like Tyler hates that I take pictures all the time now, because no matter what we do, I take pictures everywhere we go. like all the time. Even if it's not of him, like I'll take pictures of food or whatever, like to have to post later on. I won't necessarily, yes, I won't necessarily post it that same day. So there's tips to that too, which Aaron will probably talk about. But yeah, I pretty much share everything, and I used to post like 3 to 5 times a day was like what she told me to do was 3 to 5 times a day, and I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. Like I can make a motivating quote post, which I used to do when I was in cosmetology school. I did that every day, so that was like not hard for me to do. And then like I would, make like 2 or 3 It Works posts and like make lifestyle posts in between, just depending on the day, like if it was about product or, joining my team posts or something like that. So 3 to 5 times, but you really need to look at your schedule and like what's realistic for you, because 3 to 5 times, maybe 5 times may be too much for you, or it may be not enough. It just depends on how much time you have to do stuff. Now that I am not working 40 hours a week, it's easy for me to post more than that. I challenge myself to post more like 6 to 10, which that sounds like a lot to people, but I try to make myself like, go on adventures and do things so I have things to talk about, because I want to share like, like if you go to events or whatever you do, if it's It Works related, so you have stuff to talk about for It Works. Like I talk about friendships a lot. So like when I go to events or team meetings, like I'll try to take a lot of pictures so that I can post one that day. But then like throughout the week or the next week, I have so many pictures to choose from. And that's what I tend to talk about a lot, is the freedom and the friendships part and the fun part, because this business is so much fun. Because even if we're not at a meeting and you go to eat with people or, hang out with somebody, even if it's like when I hang out with Megan, both Megans, or Jelly, I met Jelly before It Works, but I met them through It Works, and Aaron. So I like tend to, when I talk about, when I post a picture about us, I'm like, I'm so thankful for these friendships being brought into my life, because had I not joined It Works, I never would have met them. You know what I mean? So you just have to make sure that you share that with people too, because that's actually one of the main reasons why I joined, other than income, was to make friends. So yeah, I think that's all I have.
Okay, cool. Perfect. Okay. I always forget how cold it is in here. So I should have brought a blanket. My ankles are freezing, so I'm gonna sit Indian style. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about Instagram. We've kind of gone over some of this, but I know like we've gotten a lot of questions again. So if everybody can open up their Instagram. I just really want y'all to look at your profile. And so first and foremost, so everybody know how to get to the profile? Okay. Make sure, cover your bases. Okay, so first things first, your little profile picture, because it's such a small circle, you really want it to be like a selfie. Or if you do have a, like your child or somebody else in it with you, like make sure it's like selfie action, because a distant picture and stuff, it's harder for people to relate to you, even though they may see like a mom with kids, they just can't really see your face. So you want to make sure that it's like some type of selfie, so that way. And I actually, my profile picture is the same one that's on my Periscope. It's the same one that's on my Facebook. So that way, if anybody goes to try and find me, they can connect with me on the same one, because they'll be able to recognize my picture. So most of the time, if I update my profile, they all get updated at the same time. Next thing is you want to make sure that you have something about yourself. So I always say, like, I think you can add like a whole bunch of lines, really. Like Alyssa did a really good Instagram training, because she's like a former blogger, and her advice was keeping it about 3 lines long. So if you have like a notes app in your phone, that's the best thing to go to, because it actually makes the spacing like way better than if you just went and, because you know how Instagram will bunch everything up. That's what it will do if you just go to profile and add that. So if you actually go to your notes app in your phone, type out what you want it to be, and then copy and paste it into that about. So mine says, Mommy to Fit Again, Wife to Mr. Tweed, Fitness, Adventure, Friends, Food, Skinny Rap Girl, and Empowering Others. So just like pretty bold statements, but don't put anything that's like not your interest. Like I'm not going to put anything about like hunting or sewing or any, like I don't do any of those kind of things. So I'm not going to put that kind of stuff. So same goes with like when we start talking about posts and like hashtagging, because some people post a lot of hashtags to try and get those people with the same things. If that's not your interest, don't hashtag it, okay? Because you really want to, if you're going to be able to relate to people and build relationships, you're going to want to create those based on things that you have in common. Okay, so if you can see my my picture. So when people are looking at your page and deciding if they want to be your friends or not, my account is set to private. I think it's kind of a battle of figuring out what works best for you. I do not allow other It Works distributors besides my own downline to follow me, because we'll talk about followers and how I gain followers, but I'm very protective of my business and what I've done to grow. I think when I started, I had maybe like 300, and now I'm almost 4,000 followers. So I've done a lot of work, and I want to be protective of what the work that I've done. So that's, I think, figure out what works best for you. Like if Alyssa keeps hers public, there's a couple other people that have theirs public. I like private more for me. I did try public and I just didn't like it. So I think it's just figuring out what works for you. So when people say that, so mine will say private, but then if you are public, the first thing that they're going to see are your first 9 photos. So you want to make sure that all of your pictures are like crisp, clean, they pop. So add filters. Like filters are going to be your best friend when it comes to Instagram. I use PicTapGo on iPhones. It's a paid app, but it's like literally the best thing ever, because you can just, and the filters that I use on PicTapGo are crispity, lights on, and then contrast. So you can kind of dial up, dial on. I think there's a couple that are available for Android. I'm not super familiar, but those are the ones that work for me. And what I like, and so pretty much if you can see, like all of my pictures are like super bright because you want them to catch people's eyes. If you put really dark filters and stuff, people are gonna be like, oh, scroll back. But if it's bright, it's catching the eye. So I post every morning. I post a motivational quote when I get up. So like between 7 and 8 a.m. I post a motivational quote. I don't post earlier than that. It's kind of figuring out like what works for you. So 7 to 8 is my time that I like to post a motivational quote, because I think about like some people need it on their way to work, and most of the time I'm reaching out to a lot of people in the central time zone. But if it is like, I don't want to do too late in the morning where like I miss people that are going to work, or too early where it's like people that are in this time zone or West Coast are going to miss my post either. So I want to make sure that I kind of cater to those timings. So 7 to 8 is my first post. And then I typically will post 1 or 2 before and afters. But what I do is the next day after I've cold messaged everybody, my before and afters get deleted. So they never stay on my page. I post every 2 hours on Instagram, 2 to 3, but most of the time 2. And the reason that I do that is because on Facebook, Facebook has a different algorithm. So let's say you like somebody's picture. Well, that's going to pop back up to the top of the news feed. And so that's where you can kind of see like, oh, so-and-so recently liked this. Instagram, you've got one shot to make a difference and to really catch people's eyes. So making your pictures pop, making them stand out, and making sure that you're on people's minds frequently. Like Courtney Board, she posts 20 times a day. I think the most I posted was like 13 or 14 times a day. And I was like, but we were having so much fun. It was on the Boss Babes retreat. And so I was like, oh my God, I gotta share. It was just so much fun. So that's how often I will post. I typically always, like, everybody will see a lot of pictures of like my son. I will post stuff that is like, we call it the F's of Instagram. So food, fashion, fun, fitness, friends, any other F's that I think it said fashion. I don't remember. So any of that kind of stuff, I don't share those types of posts to Facebook. So I really share like my business kind of posts that I'll like post like a selfie or pictures of our family and our adventure. But like things that I want or like lifestyles are like, oh my gosh, I really want this dream home. I don't typically share that type of post to my Facebook. I keep it really just about like my business and our family adventure. So my Facebook, you'll see I post about 3 to 4 times a day. I share typically 1 before and after. Sometimes it just depends. When I first got started, I posted a lot more on Facebook, but that's because I really didn't know how to work Instagram. So they're 2 different types of platforms. And so I think that's the first thing to know is that they're different in how you're going to be reaching out to people. I have a question. Yes.
do you, because I know that when I was new, I like when it comes to social media, that some people may wonder but not know to ask, do you, like when you post, like let's say you post 10 times a day or 10 times today on Instagram, okay, and maybe 4 of them are like business related and they're not like those, you know, like dream board stuff, would you only post those 4 to Facebook, so you only posted on Facebook 4 times that day, but you posted 10 on Instagram? Or do you make other posts along with those 4 that you've shared? Do you see what I'm saying?
I still would post 3 to 5 times a day on Facebook when you first get started. And I posted something else in the team page because I don't post a lot of before and afters now. But when you first get started, you have to build your business on volume. So you're going to have to post before and afters. Now I post a lot more lifestyle and things, but that's how I've grown my business. If you go back to my page, I posted a crap ton of before and afters, like all the time. So I think it's important to not be afraid to post before and afters, because we give you a lot of templates and examples and stuff, but a lot of them are like lifestyle or like joining the team. You have to remember that one goes hand in hand. So you can't build your business without customers, and you can't get customers and no, just, you know, like you can do it all, but if you really want to grow in this business, you're going to have both and kind of outweigh them. So don't be afraid to post before and after. So when you're first getting started, I think it would be a good thing to make sure you post at least 2 before and afters a day. So, but making sure that you put them at like good times of the day. So like most people are going to be checking their phones before work, lunchtime, and then like after dinner when they pick up their kids. The weekends, there's been studies and they actually people are on their phones a lot more on Saturdays, especially Sundays. So if you're going to ramp up your post a lot on Sundays because everybody's on their phones. So you're going to probably go through their newsfeed a little bit more. So it's always a good day. If you're going to do a lot of your like follow-ups, or if you decide like Sundays, I'm going to message 5 more people than I normally do throughout the week, do that because a lot more people are going to be on their phones. Like typically most people will have Sundays off. So Sundays are a good day for social media. But yeah, so I posted 1 before and after, but I will make sure that I post like at least 2, maybe 3 on Sundays. And then, like I said, the next day they get deleted. So after
I delete them. I've missed that part.
I delete them so that way if people start scrolling through my feed, they're not just like, oh, she just only posts before and after.
Got it.
So I really want them to kind of, these are like the most that stick out. So I went back and deleted, I went through like 5 months and deleted.
And you just do that on Instagram or you do that on Facebook too?
Both.
Okay.
So if I post anything like on Facebook, I mean, some before and afters I'm okay with, like on Facebook, because I don't post as frequently. But when you first get started, if you're posting more, then it may be a good idea to just kind of leave like 1 a day or something like that, because you still want people to go back and find. But with Instagram, it's a little bit different because you go through the feed so much quicker than that. So yes.
I know they've talked before. Do you also delete your motivational quotes?
I do.
And how often do you delete them?
I go back. I'll let them stay typically on my page for like a week, and then I'll go back and delete. And that's just my personal thing. I just like to typically like I want it to really show our adventure and show our pictures. So like I don't want to be posting so many quotes and stuff like that. So that's what I've decided to do. I used to
reuse them at some point.
Well, that too.
Right?
It's a good thing because eventually Pinterest, like you run out of stuff to find and search and all that. So it's I just really want to make sure that I'm like showing, you know, our adventure and showing, you know, like good bright pictures. So I think it's really, really important to make sure, even if you just turn like my favorite, let's see, I'm just gonna do this. Clarendon, that first Instagram app, that is my favorite filter.
What is it called?
Yes. I don't know, that's the one that works for me the most. I know people like Juno, and then there's another one, Ludwig, I think people have heard. I just love Clarendon. That's the only one I will ever use. Only one I will ever use. But I think it's just figure out what lighting and stuff that you like. Yesterday, y'all should have seen me. I literally got ready. And so I don't always, because I like to go to the gym, so I'm not always like ready to go like in the mornings and stuff. So yesterday I had like a fashion show where I just kept changing my shirt, and I would go to different rooms and I would make sure that I had like the best light. So if you could see my selfies.
Seriously though, y'all, it's awesome. Like, because then you have so many to post all the
Yep,
time.
they're all stocked up, so I've got tons of posts.
Just make
ready
sure
to
that
go.
you're not posting like you have like a blue shirt on, you're posting a picture of a pink shirt because then your friends are gonna you're not wearing that picture. You're not wearing that shirt. Like what'd you do?
See, on Instagram, I
That
don't
happened to
care.
me the other day. I was
I
like,
don't care.
what?
I don't
I was like,
care
I took it on Saturday. I feel like I need to look like that right
Okay,
now.
see, I feel like whenever I started working Instagram, so many people think that you have to take a picture of what you're doing that moment,
Yeah.
and you don't. Like, you can share, like, I share pictures from when I went on that retreat in November, still to this day, and that was, like, months ago.
Yeah.
So you can take pictures you've taken in the past and repost them, or, you know, like, Throwback Thursday pictures. Like, I posted a picture of me and Tyler from, like, Valentine's Day of last year, like, a week ago. Like, so you can post pictures, like, from the past. It doesn't have to be in that present moment.
No, and I'll do that all the time. Like I'll stock up, like especially if we're doing like different family adventures or something. I take a ton of pictures because that way I can kind of share those like throughout. Like I have a bunch from what do we do? Oh, like Finn's party. I have so many that Alyssa took, like all the pictures of his food and stuff. So I've got those bad boys ready to post at some time. But that's so I can kind of just keep sharing our adventure. But I've got stuff to post too. So it's not like you're always feeling like, oh my God, I have nothing to post.
And that's kind of because, like, with me, it's like, okay, well, Monday and Tuesday, I'm off on Monday. So on Mondays, I have no makeup on. I have blemishes. Like, I'm not dressed like this. Like, I look bad. So if I need posts on Monday, I'm not going to post myself with no makeup. I'm going to go back to that old selfie and put another filter, you know, and just post it. That way, because if you have to post 3 to 5 times a day, well, you need 3 to 5 times of posting. So that way, that's the purpose of taking selfies and taking, that way you can post them later. So on Mondays, on your day off, when you're looking ratchet, you have stuff to post.
Yeah. Well, what I love is the airplane mode trick. I don't know if y'all have seen that post and everything. This is like my best friend. Courtney Moore is actually the one that started all that.
Really?
I
knew it was Courtney.
So this is really the only way that you can pre-plan on Instagram. So this is like my best friend on the days that we have been at home. So like Tuesdays, Thursdays, and then the weekend. Because sometimes he's so active, I don't have time to just sit there and like think out a post. Like Kyle's like really good at all that and like making it like super sentimental and a ton of emojis. I'm not good like that. So I still as post actually. But so that's why I love to kind of use the time like after Finn goes to bed or like Mondays and Wednesdays, I'll really ramp up my saved post. So that way I can kind of share things. So all throughout the day, if I look and say, oh, I haven't posted in mine's 3 hours, so I'm behind. But I will just go and I'll just hit refresh on something. And so I'll just keep that. So I go to Pinterest a lot. So if it's stuff that I like and it's a bright picture, even if it's not bright, I'll put a filter on it. If it's stuff that I want, like for our dream board, or if I love a pair of shoes, like I share all that kind of stuff on Instagram. I don't do that on Facebook. That's just my personal thing. Like some people will share it right over. I really want, because I think Facebook, you get a lot more feelings. I feel like you can build a relationship easier on Facebook than you do Instagram. So it's easier to relate on the feeling side of it and making your post really kind of that emotional tug on the heart, where Instagram people can kind of get a brief glimpse and then you can start talking to them more. So back to your profile. You want to look at your followers and your people that you're following while you're building your business. That I think it's important, like, because Alyssa, she has 30-something thousand followers, but this is 4 years of work of her blog. So she may post only 1 time a day, but while you're building your business on Instagram and building followers, it's important to make sure that you're posting frequently because you want to be that person that sticks in their head. So that's why I post every 2 to 3 hours, because I really want to show up on people's news feeds. And they're like, who's this Erin Tweed girl? She just keeps blowing up my newsfeed. I don't care, but they're going to know who I am. So I think it's important, but you don't want the people that you're following to be more than who your followers are, okay? Because if people request me and I see that they have 4,000 people that they're following and only 1,000 are following them back, I'm not following them. I am not, because it's like they're obviously not making an impact enough where everybody wants to follow them, so something isn't right. So when you're first building, I think it's hard. The hardest part is getting to about 1,500 followers. And then after that point, a lot of people say that you just kind of see your business take off and
you'll notice more interaction and stuff. So work hard to get to that 1,500 if you're not there yet, because once you start getting to that number, that's when if you go, let's say, I'm going to go to somebody's public page. Okay, so this girl right here, if you see, like say she has a public page, and if you see that, you know how profiles will have that extra little arrow down? And if you pop it open, it's suggested. At 1,500, you start to become a suggested. Okay, so that's where you may notice more people may add you, and it's not because you went and followed them, that's just because you have a lot of similar interests, so you start becoming somebody else's suggested friends, where if you don't have that like kind of following behind you, haven't made a statement enough kind of thing. So get to that 1,500 mark, because then you're going to be reaching a lot more people, and that's where people will typically say that you'll notice your business take off in a lot more interaction. Okay, so so how do I get followers? I work Crowdfire. That is the app that works for me. I think everybody has different preferences on how they want to add, because some people will go through and they'll find a person or a boutique that they like, and they'll add like 10 or 15 other similar people. You can do that. Crowdfire is what's easiest for me. I actually, when I download the app, it gives me a notification that when my hour limit's up, I can go back in. So what I will do is I'll hit copy followers, and I'll put in like a certain boutique or like a sports team or some type of interest that I like, and I'll put in there, and I'll copy some of their followers. And the good thing about what I'm looking for is really those people that have that selfie profile picture, because again, like if it's so distant, I'm like, I don't know, like it could be like some weirdo and you just can't tell. So if it's like a bright, pretty selfie, that's who I'm gonna be looking for to add. So I don't go to everybody's page and like inspect it on Instagram first. I just really will go through Crowdfire and add. I do this, so when I first was building up, I would do this 3 times a day. It probably takes like no more than 5 minutes to go through and copy followers. But this is also another reason too that my account is private, because if you have a public account, somebody can go and put in your name and then they could copy all of your business. So that's just my personal protection on my what I've done, and so that's why I think it's important too to kind of just figure out what works for you. But I did this 3 times a day for 2 days in a row, and then the 3rd day in a row, I would go back and I would go to my non-followers and I would unfollow all those people that didn't follow me back, because then it would kind of start to balance it out. I like to set the notification on, so that way I'm like, oh, when I go on my phone, if you know me, I literally hate to have the little numbers next to it. I hate notifications on my phone. It drives me crazy. Like Kyle has like 1,300 emails, and that little number, I'm like, get rid of that. Like it drives me crazy. But that's why he has his phone and I have mine. But it drives me crazy. So when I have that little number 1 next to it, I'm like, oh, that's my reminder that I have to go back and unfollow. It takes me less than 5 minutes, and I can just do that. So sometimes like if Finn's, in the bathtub and he's playing, so I'll just go boom, 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 because I can just get my finger down. I can still look up. Okay. So that is how I've built cold messaging. Cassie kind of talked about it. Does everybody know how to message on Instagram? How to send a message?
I don't know how to send it.
Okay. So up at the top on your like main Instagram page, there's this little box. It looks like a file cabinet thing. If you click that, that's actually your inbox.
I don't know about you, but typically if I get messages from people, like my phone will vibrate, but I don't get a notification. It'll just show a number 1. So I have to know to go and check it.
Yeah, I check like pretty frequently in there too. Mine will say like a number 1. Sometimes it will give me notifications, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know. Instagram's like really crazy.
Mine will like vibrate, but Facebook I'll get notifications, but Instagram I don't.
Yeah.
It just like notifies
If you
me.
go to your push notification setting,
It'll tell you.
if you go to your profile and you go up to the little scrolling wheel, and then you go down about to the 2nd section, 3rd section where it says settings, it'll say linked accounts and then push notification settings. And then what should you do?
Oh, right there.
And then you can do links if Johnny Appleseed likes your photo from everyone, comments from everyone, follower requests, accepted follower requests, friends on Instagram. You can go through there and you can
Direct requests is a message, because you can message two ways. Like you can send a regular message with just words, or you can send like if they let's say they like one of your before and after pictures, you can send them that before and after picture and then type your message so they know what picture you're talking about.
That's what
So direct request would be a photo.
you sent me you sent like I was following you on Facebook and then you sent me a direct message with a picture and you're like, hey, I want to talk to you about this.
Direct request sends the photo with your.
A direct request that says wants to send you a photo, that's if someone tries to send you a picture with a message, and then a regular direct request is just a picture or just a message. Yeah,
So my cold
because
message.
they changed it.
How many of you listened to the call when Rachel Jones and Lachelle were on? Like about, okay. So Lachelle really focuses on, she doesn't do a lot of cold messaging. She does a lot of like liking and commenting and interacting with people. So she has all these like built up relationships. It takes a little bit more time. And so you have like how I like and comment, you want to be more thoughtful than just like, oh, pretty or gorgeous, or like start interacting and kind of leaving like question, like something where they have to respond back to you, like, oh my god, I love your shirt, where'd you get it? Even if you don't really give a shit where they got it from, just comment, it's okay.
Oh my gosh.
I said that. But I'm just saying, like, put that on there. I mean, most of the time I like it, but I'm just saying, like, sometimes if you're just like, even if you would, I'm saying that in the fact of like, if you know that you physically probably wouldn't be able to purchase it because they live in like Washington or something, you wouldn't get it from that boutique, but that's just starting that interaction. I kind of ran this because she said once she kind of started interacting and stuff, messaging, then she would message them and say, hey, I didn't want to pull up your newsfeed. I just really like loved your page, and kind of start a question, like starting in that conversation and just saying like, hey, like I noticed your kid, are you a stay-at-home mom? Just kind of little questions like that. Because Rachel got to a point where she had cold message and that part stopped working for her. So I think this is always revolving business where some stuff's going to work for you for a good while, and then it may not. Cold messaging still works for me. So I stopped it for a little bit to try this. And then I was like, why am I doing this? Because cold messaging, I still get 50% or more coming messaging me back. So I'm like, that's what's working for me. So I'm not going to change that. So, if you find a point where like your cold message isn't working, either tweak up your cold message or maybe start just interacting with more people on their pages. And then you may feel more comfortable messaging them and talking to them about certain things. So I think it's figuring out what works for you. My cold message typically looks like, oh my gosh, like, I just love your page. You're absolutely gorgeous. I want you on my dream team. And then just a little blurb of like, I'm 26 and I've completely retired, whatever. That's what works for me. But again, once you're first getting started, like literally if you could go back and see my messages when I first started, it was like, hey, join my team. Literally. Hey, have you heard of It Works? Don't say that. Okay. So like, because, and that now, like, looking back, I'm like, well, no wonder nobody ever responded because I just sounded like a big dip job. Like, but make sure that you're interacting with people and, like, say something about, like, you can bring up something in their life. Or I think the biggest thing is giving a compliment because they're going to have to say thank you.
Yeah.
And I don't, like, most people will say thank you to me, and if they don't say anything, I'm like, oh, well, have you heard of us? And I start that
Like some
conversation.
people just send a heart.
Because they already opened the door. Yeah, and I'll still, but there's always more than likely are going to say at least thank you when you give them a compliment. So that's opening that door. I never cold message anybody before I've liked and commented on their page. So if I like and comment on their page, I typically will comment at least on 2 pictures, and I'll like at least 8 to 9.
I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a lot of my team ask me this, and I just want to know if you do it any differently. I have a lot of people ask me if I, like in my cold message, if I initially, like, because I have a lot of people on my team who will send a cold message and immediately talk about how they're involved in It Works.
I never put
do
the
that.
name It Works in my
Yeah.
message.
I say something about my business, but when they respond, they're going to want to know what your business is. And one of the biggest things that, like, you guys talk about on, like, trainings and stuff, what for me was not to answer any questions that they aren't asking you. So if they don't ask what your business is, or they're not asking you like, you know, whatever it is about, you know, It Works related, don't, like, what I mean by that is don't send them a message and say, like, you know, if they say, what is your business? You want to say, you know, I work for a health and wellness company. I say something like, we have 30 plus products that aid in a healthy lifestyle. That's it. That's where you stop. You don't say anything else until they ask you another question. Because if you start to ramble, you're going to answer all their questions before they have the time to ask you, and you're going to overwhelm them and they're not going to respond. Do you have that?
So what I do, my second message I actually do bring up, because a lot of people, they'll either like say thank you, like what's your business, or if they just say thank you, I say, well, have you heard of our company before? And so I never put the name It Works until they say, well, what's your business or what type of company? And then I'll say, well, my business is It Works Global. We've got 30 plus products for health and wellness, and I actually just get paid pretty much literally to work on my phone. And something like simple like that. Because then I do bring it up. Sometimes they've already kind of known because they've probably been following my page and see some of the posts. So some people will know. But I never put It Works in that first thing. I'll say Dream Team. I use Dream Team a lot. Just because I think sometimes if you're just like, hey, It Works, like people get really turned off because it's just, I don't, like I probably would have gotten turned off too. You know, if I just messaged something like bland like that. But if somebody compliments me with it, I'm like, oh, like, that's really nice. And they took the time to message me about this. Oh my gosh, I better ask what it is that they're asking me. So I think it's figuring out kind of like what cold message works for you. Because if I could give you my template and it's not going to work for you, I realized that because I would be like, oh, like that's working. So I messaged Rachel and I was like, what are you sending? Let me see what you're sending. And I tried it and it didn't work. And I was like, well, gosh darn it, what am I doing wrong? And I'm like, I have to put it into like what terms would work for me, because I'm not going to say certain things that she would like how she words it. I would say something totally different. So, you know, figure out if you're not getting responses, tweak it a little bit. I think that's like the biggest thing is like don't give up on cold messaging, because you can reach out to a lot of people, but it's just tweaking your wording to figure out what works for you. I think I talked about, okay, so what to post, we talked about all that. I literally will use, I go to Pinterest, like if I'm doing like, so for me, what I get a lot of feedback on are like triple threat challenges and hair, skin, and nail challenges and wrap challenges. So challenges. So that's what I'll typically post if I'm posting like kind of the pictures. The ones that work for me with the hair, skin, and nails, like it blows up. I will literally go to Pinterest and I'll Google long hair and I'll find a girl that has pretty long hair and I'll put, I use word swag, so you can use whatever writing app you want to use. And I'll literally put like want long hair or product testers needed, like something simple like that. And because it's like this beautiful model with awesome hair, like people love it. Like the other day, Cassie was doing my hair and I posted something and I was like, you know, I had like 5 people instantly message me like, oh, I want longer hair. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Like within a matter of like 5 minutes.
Yeah, literally 5 minutes. I had 5 people message me like all wanting hair, skin, nail challenge. So those kind of things, like if you make your pictures look really good with it, like triple threat, I wouldn't just put like a picture of the bottles or anything because that's not going to relate to somebody. But if you can post like a before and after of somebody with the triple threat or the wrap challenges, like obviously like I think it's figuring out, because some people will just take a selfie with a fat fighter's bottle. Okay, well that's not going to create any feelings for me. Okay, cool, but if you can show me a picture of your screaming child in the background with your bottle of Confianza and you're saying like, I need this now, that is relatable because they see what it's for. So don't just take a product selfie or anything like that. You know, make sure it's a relatable situation. If you have something where like the product, you can show it in results, and do that over just like posting a picture of the bottle. That's going to be more relatable where people have feelings. So we want to create situations where people feel for that picture, and that's why they're drawn to reaching out to you and messaging you. The way that I cold message, I do this like every other day. So I will go to my followers and I'll kind of go down. Oh, my internet stopped working. So I'll go through my followers and I just kind of go down the line. So I'll click and I make sure that I've kind of interacted. And once I've liked and commented, then I'll send them a message. This is what I've recently changed probably within the last 2 months. I don't wait for people to like and comment on my stuff. Because a lot of people, like probably most of us, we've watched it for a while. We didn't like or comment, we just saw everything. And those are typically the people that join us. You've never liked or commented on anything, never. And so I don't like or comment. So I actually will go, like I said, just down the line, I'll go and I'll message like whatever number you choose that works for you. But interact on their page and then send them a message. I don't, again, because that way you can reach out to a lot more people than just waiting for people to like and comment on your stuff, because you may be waiting longer. Some of my pictures may only get like 10 likes and stuff. I'm not going to sit there and just let, sometimes it's the same people. So I'm not just going to only message those people because I'm not being productive with my time. I can reach a lot more people. And sometimes it's just been like that situation where they've been waiting for you to ask them. Like a lot of people will say, oh my God, you know what? I've actually been thinking about this. And so had I never messaged them, I would have never known that. So I've gotten a lot. With my cold message, I give them that little blurb about like our products. And then if they say, how can I get started? Or if they read it and they don't say anything, I just say, oh, I'd love to send you more information. Are you interested? And typically they'll say yes. And then I'll say, all right, do you mind if I text you? And like 75 to 80% of people, I get their phone numbers. And then that's how we create that relationship. I categorize everybody in my phone as PDT, like potential distributor. So that way when I go through my follow-ups, I only have to go to those contacts and I can just go boom, 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 boom. So I save everybody's name and number. If I don't have a name like that I found on their profile, I'll just save their Instagram name and just have that. So that way I can kind of have a good idea of like who I'm messaging and contacting. But then you can also go back and like and comment on their pictures. Like I have some people that say like, don't give up on me. And so I'll just go and I'll blow up their newsfeed with a bunch of notifications because I know that they're still watching me and I want them to know that I'm still watching them and I'm still interacting with them. So that's kind of how I'll interact. I think, did I cover everything? I think. Yeah.
As far as like the before and afters, I think in our first Instagram training that we had this past year, you had talked about like if somebody likes your before and after picture, you go and you message them about it. Do you still do that, or do you wait until they they like 2 or 3 pictures?
No, if they give me one like, I message them.
Okay.
So because again, like sometimes it's just they may like more than, but because you only pop up on the newsfeed, they may just not see it. Especially like I'm, however many people you're following. If you're following like 2,000 people, that's a lot of pictures that people may end up missing. So you want to make sure, like, if somebody likes my stuff once, I send them a message. I'm like, hey, and I always like reiterate with a question. If they comment on my thing, they're like, oh, I'm interested. I'll say, hey, girl, are you interested in the 12-week wrap challenge or something like that? I reiterate and ask them that question again, even though I know that they're going to say yes because they commented that. I still will ask that question again just to start the conversation. So that's typically if they liked it, I just keep it like a little one sentence line on that. I'm trying to look and see what else I post. I think that's mainly like it. Instagram is like once you get it, it takes time. So don't get frustrated if it's like you're like, oh my God, I'm posting, I'm doing all this work, and I'm following, and I'm liking and commenting, and nothing's happening. Like, don't give up because it's gonna happen. It's gonna blow up for you. It depends on when those people's time is to join. So they may have to watch you for a little bit. I've had people that I'm friends with for like pretty much like my whole business on Instagram when I first started, like over a year, and now like we're just now interacting a lot more than we used to. So don't give up on it. It takes time. But like I said, I think once you kind of get to that 1,500 mark of followers, it starts to kind of take off a little bit on its own, where you'll notice like you're going to pop up and people suggested and stuff. So work really hard to get to that 1,500, but also keeping those numbers kind of in balance while you're building, because you don't want to look like somebody that is just following a ton of people and is not really making an impact on somebody else. So.
Hey, on the popular page, like if you how like we talked about, like if you tag yourself in a specific location or whatever, if your profile is private, will you show up on those popular pages even if you're private? Or does it not?
I don't think so.
It's only public, isn't it?
Yeah. But I mean, for me, like,
because I see a lot, like when I go to the popular, like sometimes I'll just scroll through it. I see like Tiffany and Jocelyn and Alyssa all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Yeah. Which obviously they have way more followers, but they're all public, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's figuring out like what works for you.
Yeah.
Like, because I went public, I gave it like a 2-week run and I just didn't like it. And I liked private more.
I
So
went
think-
public too for 2 weeks,
Mhm.
but it got me over 1,000 because I've never really had that many followers, but because I never really worked
Yeah.
Instagram from the beginning. But the people that were trying to follow me were either spam accounts like get more followers or are you an It Works distributor and like spam, or it was other It Works distributors and that aren't on our team, and I don't just like you, I don't let anybody follow me that's not in my downline. So or sideline,
Yeah.
but sometimes.
I know. So I think it's figuring out like what works for you. Any other questions on Instagram? Yeah.
I have a question on Instagram. You'll get a request for someone to follow you, and then you have that little arrow, and it's got the suggested that you're talking about. Is there a problem on Instagram of adding from there?
No, I wouldn't do more than like 10.
Okay,
Because
they're
again, if
all-
for some reason that person joined, you don't want to steal their whole entire warm market. So I don't add like that, but you can. I just wouldn't suggest doing like more than like 10. If I do add directly on Instagram, I just go to boutique pages and stuff. So that way I'm like, okay, I just know how I add it and I can always speak for that. But I don't think it's like, sometimes it's like some pages, like if they're like famous or something like that and you go to their page, I don't think it's bad to, because obviously like Brad Pitt's not going to be joining It Works anytime soon. So I mean, he may, I don't know. But I'm just saying that kind of stuff, I think that those pages are fine. Any other questions?
I had a question about Facebook. I noticed a problem with either, like my friends liking my stuff, and then it just stops, and then people comment, but then they don't want to join because it's too expensive, or they're in college and they have like zero money.
Mhm.
I had like a 10 people wanting to do that BOGO wrap like 2 months ago, and they're like, I can't afford it right now, but contact me again when it comes back, and I'm like,
I would message them every 2 weeks. My follow-ups I message every week or every other week.
that's what I do.
And some people, they may not ever respond, but like one girl that she literally messaged me yesterday, and I've been messaging her probably like 7-8 times, and she hasn't responded. She's like, oh, I'm so sorry, my daughter's been in the hospital with pneumonia, but I'll contact you as soon as she's discharged. But because I didn't give up, and then a girl that just joined like a couple of weeks ago, she actually was interested in the wraps. I followed up with her again about BOGO, and then she was on vacation, so she messaged me, and then all of a sudden she wanted to be a distributor. So it's because you never give up. I think they eventually come around. So just making sure you always keep them kind of on your follow-up list, and you can still message them. That's what I would do.
What do you do about people that are kind of negative?
That comment on your stuff,
Yeah.
delete them and unfollow them. I don't have any negativity on my page at all, and I think I never really had any, because I know there's people that do deal with a lot more than I do. But if anybody like comments like some kind of, I just delete it and I unfollow them. So because I want to make sure that my page and everything, there's no negativity that's going to be pouring into me, and then that affects my business. Because then it affects other people. So because people can tell when you have a bad day. So if you're posting on stuff, or like you don't post as frequently, like I think in July when I had my miscarriage, Cassie was like, "What's wrong with you? You haven't posted." And I'm like,
It was like 4th of July.
yeah,
She hadn't posted it at all.
She like
I was
knew
like,
that something was wrong, and so I'm like, so all of that is impacted by your page, like especially when you're running a business like that. I think it's huge to make sure that you just keep that positivity there, So that's what I would do.
You won't notice it. Like you won't notice when they're gone. Because I did a mass exodus like 1 week, and I just if they were negative, I'm
my
like, nope.
problem is family members doing it, and I just don't know how to approach it. Where it's like I have family that's like not really supportive of what I'm doing. They're like, you should save your money. You shouldn't be doing this. Like, what is it gonna do for you? My parents they did the whole. I don't know if y'all know what Melaleuca is. But it's like this cleaning product. But years ago, my mom got sucked into it by her friend, and ever since then, she's been really skeptical about the pyramid scheme. She's like, really? You're gonna make $10,000? Like,
My aunt actually unfollowed me because her husband is like,
yeah, my mom's blocked
what's
me.
the word for it? Like, continuous jumper from MLMs to MLMs. And she like unfriended me and everything and stuff. But like, now my account's public, so she can still see everything. But like, it doesn't bother me. I'm like, oh well, because she wants to re-add me again, but she thinks I'll be mad. It's my mom's sister. Like she thinks that I'm gonna be mad because I'm like, I don't really care because all my stuff's out there and I haven't changed what I'm doing. So I think if you're consistent in your business, you're positive, you know, I would just be done with it.
All the good will outweigh the bad.
Yeah.
I do have a question on follow-up. That is the biggest thing I struggle with because I feel like I'm bugging people. When you say you keep following them up, like there's this girl that's an event planner that would be awesome. Well, I'm too busy, I'm too busy. She is busy, you tell her the whole thing about, busy people get things done, blah, blah, blah. But I really feel like I'm gonna tick her off sooner or later. I mean,
Hope I didn't offend you.
Here's Sydney Samsel, if y'all know her, she's a double diamond. Alyssa actually followed up with her 19 times before she joined. 19. And she didn't respond at all. She never responded. And I have people that I message and like follow up and they may never say anything, but then there's something that we learned. Everybody's life changes every 9 months. And so you may have messaged people and followed up with them, but if you continue to follow up with them even 9 months later, like when their situation's different, they may be ready to say yes. So I think it's like, don't take it, unless they tell me to completely F off, I message them.
Yeah.
Literally.
Like if they don't want you to like contact them, they'll tell you.
Yeah.
They'll say stop. I mean, I have so many potentials too who I've followed up with so many times, and I've probably maybe 10 in a row, and it just looks like I'm talking to myself. But eventually they respond in some way, even if they're not ready. You know what I mean? And sometimes they may not, but they've never said stop texting me. So you gave me your number, so I'm gonna text you.
I wrote down what Melissa said last week about that because she said the busiest people make the most amazing business partners because they know how to get things done. That's always a good response.
And she may take it as a compliment that you're not giving up on her. And two, maybe she could be like, okay, well, I finally hear what you have to say just to shut you up. And maybe she's gonna end up loving what you have to say.
all right, I'm just kidding. Worst they can do is delete me. I don't,
Yeah. Get people who are like, stop messaging. I haven't got that yet, but.
I've never had it.
Because I have the same like.
I would literally keep messaging like the people that haven't responded, then I start to put them like a little bit further out where I'll do every 2 weeks, and then it may be like once a month or something like that. But I may have messaged them like, let's say my follow-up day, I think it was like I followed up right after Christmas was like, or no, it was right before Christmas, so the 21st that Monday, and then the next week. So I typically wouldn't message again, but we launched BOGO, so everybody got a message, and I didn't care because if they got something like literally, because some people just want to know. And they're like, oh my God, and I signed up 5 customers that way. Like 3 of them were people that were potential distributors, but they decided, hey, I'd rather join and start the products first. I'm like, okay, cool, it's fine too. So like that's why I always, anytime we have promotions or anything like that, but I always keep people in my follow-up list unless they literally tell me to F off.
And is your follow-up lists like you just go to your Facebook and all the messages? Is that how you do it, or do you?
My Facebook messages, I keep a list, but my phone, because I put everybody as like PDT before their name, I can keep track of all my potential, and I'll just, yeah. But like Instagram and Facebook, I have to keep kind of like a running list, especially for Facebook because I have so many messages. It's like a lot, so I have to would have to scroll back through and dig. So I just will keep kind of a running list. Okay, who's all going to conference? Okay, so today I think that they're going to announce a live link option. I would highly suggest getting it. I don't know like pricing or anything, but last year at conference, literally our phone service is like dead because there's so many people wanting to. So if you want to be first to know on all the announcements, because they're not going to share that on corporate pages until the event is over. So if you want to be first to know and really like get involved, get the live link. If you're going to conference, I would suggest getting like a power battery pack because just with everybody's phones, like mine died so many times at conference. This is like $30 on Amazon and it has 2 ports. So like somebody else can charge their phone with you and it holds up to 4 battery charges. So it's literally $29.99 on Amazon. But like I said, I'm almost positive that's like one of the announcements that's coming tonight is the live link option. So I would highly recommend getting it because last year they had something where you could kind of view parts of it, but like everybody's like, what's going on? But we couldn't ever message or post videos or keep our teams updated until after the event. And even that, with everybody leaving in so much data power, it was hard to keep everybody informed. So if you really want to be in the loop, I would suggest getting that option. Two, like, now is the time. There's 2 weeks left in this month, so really rev up your business, because what they're bringing at conference is going to be huge. They always have something up their sleeve that just is insane. So probably a new product, probably new promotions. I don't know, but you want to make sure that you're not slowing down right now. You want to make sure that your business is revving up and ramping and ready to go, because you don't want to be so far behind that you're not ready for that next step when they're like, let's say they announce a good bonus. Well, you better be busting your butt to get close to diamond right now, so that way all you have to do is work on volume next month. So that way you can make sure you get that promotion. So I don't know what they're bringing, but you just want to make sure that you're really focused on your business. You've got it cleaned out, like know what you're doing. So this is the time that I would do, like, especially when I was working, every Sunday I would take the time and I would write 5 goals for myself. Like, I want to message 10 people daily. I want to add this many people on Instagram, this many people on Facebook. I want to enroll X amount of customer. I want to do, kind of like a running 6 list. But I just made weekly goals, as well as like I had daily things that I had, tasks that I wanted to do. So like the daily 6 list is good. But I also had goals that I set for myself each and every week. And so I think now is really an important time to do that, because conference is coming up literally in 2 weeks. We'll be there. So just make sure that you're ready, because it's going to be awesome. Any other questions on anything? Okay. Let's take a picture, and then that's it. Okay. So next meeting will be a little bit different, but I just really, we've gotten a lot of questions on social media, so I wanted to make sure. And Kyle is going to be planning a guys event too. So if you have a husband